Hello students and welcome to our course Competitiveness Module 8. This is for the 8th semester and the name of this competitiveness is personal development. We're going to learn in this course about several topics to develop our personality. Also, a lot of good things. We have several topics like how to make a knot or how to tie a tie, for example. We're also going to learn about different type of cultures, the Asian culture, Latin culture, English culture, Arabic and Chinese culture. So we want to get a trip this semester around the world, learning about all these cultures and all this type of society and how the society is developing and how the society is growing. We're going to learn about a lot of things, cultural schemes, and the topic for today, that is the week number 1, is cultural scheme of society and its condition for economic development. So welcome to the class. This is the goal for the objective that we have for this class. Number 1, provide tools to you to increase the possibilities of entering the labor and business market. Number 2, take advantage of opportunities for professional self-improvement. That's what we're going to learn. We're going to develop a lot of skills for you. And number 3, we're going to learn about the different cultures around the world and societies also. Okay, we have some quotes for this week about culture. We want to have 3 quotes every week related to the topic. We want to talk about the culture. For example, people without the knowledge of the past, without the knowledge of the culture, it's nothing. It's a root that we have. So, welcome to our society. You will be judged in nowadays on what you wear, if your taste in music, what you look like, what you say, and how you act. And all this is related to culture and society. And we have our first question. We want to learn about what is culture. I know that all of you know this concept, but in here we have one. Culture are groups of people who share a common set of values and beliefs. They may also share cultural elements. And what are those cultural elements? We have languages, festivals, rituals and ceremonies, pastimes, food and architecture. So you will see here a lot of concepts that we share depends where we are from. We have a lot of cultural elements. The language is one of us. In Guatemala we have some dialects also. This is part of our cultures. The festival that we have, some Mayan rituals in Guatemala are part of our cultures, and also the ceremonies. The pastime, all that, the story that we have is part of our culture. Our food, we have in Guatemala delicious food. All of our kind of tamales, soups, etc. that we have, this is part of our culture too. And also the architecture, we have a lot of Mayan ruins and how our city, our village, the city where we live is built is part of our culture also. And what culture means? To clarify, a culture represents, and say it again, the beliefs of what we believe in several topics, practices and artifacts of a group, while society is, we have here the other concept of society. This society represents the social structure and organization of the people who share those beliefs and practices. So, as you see here, we are mixing two different concepts, culture and society. But we have different meanings. That culture, remember, represent the beliefs, the practices, the artifacts of a group, and society just represent is the social structure and organization of how we live and how all these people are sharing these beliefs and practices, how the people are sharing the culture. Okay, we have here some classification of culture. We have the first one, that is according to dynamism. This one have to be static, Static means when the culture emphasizes cultural transmission, and we're going to learn some videos after the tutorial video. And also, according to dynamics, the cultures can be dynamic. This is when it emphasizes the change. This basically means that culture interact and change. So the culture is always changing between generations. It drags based on the current situation of our society also. That's why it's important that we really recognize these two concepts, society and culture. And remember that a culture continually restored and it will always remain relevant. So this is the classification of culture according to dynamics. Remember that is static, could be the static or can be dynamic. Continue with the classification of culture. We have this second division according to stability. And the culture can be stable or unstable, and what it means. When the culture is stable, here we have all the four ways and more are satisfied when the people is happy with the culture. But when it's unstable, here we have that the culture or where the place where we live is not clear. The content or the direction of this culture is not as clear as it's supposed to. According to stability, a stable culture, the cultural parents are satisfying to the group. So all the group is satisfied, and this is called a stable culture. And unstable culture is when many people in the group are not satisfied the way things are being done. So the people is not according to several things that they are living in the society where they live, and this is called unstable culture. So this classification according to stability, remember that we have here two subdivisions, that is stable and unstable. Okay, also we have the third classification of culture according to component. It could be material and non-material. For the material, well, you know, there are the tangible things that we can touch, and non-material, non-tangible things like all the beliefs that we have. And in here, like you see in this picture, we have two divisions, the material culture and non-material culture. Let's check the material culture first. Material cultures consist of concrete and tangible objects like tools, implements, furniture, automobiles, books, buildings, etc. These concrete and tangible things are man-made. So all the things that man-made in the society are part of our culture also. The tools that the people use in agriculture, in our area, for example, is part of our culture. The implements, the furniture, the houses, the type of automobiles, I can tell you a good example, like there are some cities that we use tuk-tuks, in other cities we use taxis, in other cities we use buses, etc. So this is part of our culture also, and this is part of our society too. And the non-material culture. Non-material cultures consist of intangible and abstract objects that include customs, tradition, habits, manners, the way that the people are in any city, the attitude, the beliefs, also the languages, the literature, dialects, the law, etc. A good example that in some places from our country we have the Mayan law. So this is a good example of non-material culture. So remember this part, according to component, the culture can be material and non-material. Functions of culture. Remember that we are talking about the provides means of communication. Every culture has its own language, its own dialect. That's why the culture provides us the way that we communicate. Number two, serves as a trademark or special feature that distinguishes one society from the other. So we can be distinguished from where we are from the way that we talk, our accent, for example, the way that we dress. That is how the culture serves as a trademark or special feature distinguishes us from one society from the other. Also, culture helps individuals fulfill his potential as a human being. Acts as a social glue that helps to hold the people together, because we look for the group that have our same beliefs, our same custom, our same communication, our same language, etc. And the culture gives us education because we learn how to live for the culture on how we grow and the place how we grow. Also, we have several functions of culture. Culture helps human beings adapt to the environment. Culture helps to produce and distribute goods and services. Also, the culture maintains internal order because they teach you and show you how we need to live depending the place and where we are. Also, culture harmonizes society, and culture provides a set of values and beliefs. So you can see here how important in our lives is culture. For communication, for perception, identity, value system, motivation, help us to be the humans that we need to be in the society that we live. That's why all these functions or culture are so important. What is society? We have the second concept here, and we're going to learn why society is so important in culture. Society is a community of people living in a particular region and having a shared custom, laws, and organization. And you see here in this concept, we also are sharing a part of concept of culture when in the part that we share customs, law, and organization. So the society also depends on the culture. That's why it's so important. And in here, we're going to learn about the difference between culture and society, and also the relationship between culture and society. Remember that culture is the media and information associated with social networks, associated with what we believe, how we communicate, how we are. And society is just a system of interrelationship among people, but people that live in certain type of culture. To refresh something about society, I want to tell you that society is a very similar concept to culture, but the concept is similar, but it's not the same. Society is defined as a system of interrelationship that connect individuals together. So we are together for the society, but we live in a culture. Society and culture are interdependent on each other and must both be present from the other to exist. So society cannot exist with a culture, and a culture cannot exist without a society. One way to remember the difference between the two concepts, here is something important, and pay attention to this, is that they apply our knowledge of culture in society. The relationship between culture and society is also important because culture and society are coexisted, as we say before. One does not or cannot exist without the other. Culture and society may have some common elements, but the two are not the same. That's why we have these two different concepts. They are not identical, but they are coexisted. The essential difference is that the society is composed of people, and the culture is composed from knowledge, ideas, customs, traditions, beliefs, skills, artifacts, organizations. That's why it's so important, these two concepts. So we need to have clear that culture is the meaning of information associated with how the people is, what the people believe, the roots of the people, and society is a system of interrelationship of the culture that these people live. And also remember the difference between these two and also the relationship. This is so important for us to learn in this class. And here we have the questions to study. We have here 5 questions for this week. Please, this is the homework, so check these answers and look for these answers in this presentation. Remember to study, and I hope that you have a great day.